Patriot News with your host, Michael Parker. Covering news from around the county, the city of Coldwater, the tri-state area, and the nation. We are here to give you real news with commentary, live call-ins, and interviews with local guest speakers. Coming to you live stream via Facebook. Now, here's your county reporter, Michael Parker.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to our emergency, unedited, unscripted, unadvertised. There's going to be several I'm going to do here in the next couple of hours. A couple, 2, 3 for Branch County, and then others for nationally. They will these 2 for Branch County through Branch County Conservative Patriot will have impact on our county. For those of you who've recently purchased homes or are looking to get into a home, for those of you who are renting and you're finding it very difficult to find a rental, I'm going to give you we're going to watch a video about 10 minutes long of a young lady who's dug up some information as to the reason why, beyond the scope of what's being reported, as far as why housing is such a crisis right now everywhere that you go. So today, in this video here, I want you to understand that there are folks that are in Branch County who have, we've talked about this before, there are folks in Branch County that have we want to refer to it as a colorful past. Individuals that may have made mistakes and maybe they were arrested, maybe they were charged with a felony. In fact, maybe prior to the state of Michigan passing laws to make marijuana legal and then make it as far as medicinal purposes, and then in the recreational department, maybe you had been charged or arrested for a marijuana charge. And so you carry a felony on your background. Now, there's a brand new law that was passed in 2024 that Governor Whitmer allows you to go in, and there are certain types of felonies for different types of crimes that were committed that an individual would have been convicted of, that are automatically getting expunged from your record. But maybe there's something that you've done that there's a challenge with, or you would like to have some further help. Maybe you're an individual who has been charged and convicted of a felony, and it's something that you're embarrassed about, or you've lived a good life, you've been a law-abiding citizen for many years, but for some reason it's not being expunged from your record. Well, I discovered that we have someone in our community who might be able to help. And so I'm going to play a video, and in the video, again, like I said, this person might be able to help. And I'm going to play this video. This was being recorded several years ago, I think in 2023. And it was part of the effort in Lansing, Michigan, to be able to get those who are in Lansing, Michigan, have their records expunged prior to the law that was passed by the state of Michigan, trying to get their felonies expunged so that they can become more productive citizens, they can earn higher wages, it increases the tax base. And in this case, we're going to suggest and talk about here is that maybe some of you got aspirations, you have desires, dreams, goals, and you would like to be the mayor of Coldwater. You would like to be on the city council, or you'd like to hold a position with city government, and something like this may be keeping you, or psychologically or even legally, keeping you from getting a position or adding to the difficulty of doing so. So let's watch this video. It's only going to be about 10 minutes. It's about 10 or 12 minutes long, and it's very informative, and you'll see who I'm talking about that you'll be able to contact to help you with this.
Than understanding the benefits that people in your communities get from having their criminal records sealed. It's going to help people get jobs and housing. It's going to reduce recidivism for the group of people that have committed crimes, because it's going to help them get jobs. And ultimately, it's going to result in more taxpayers, better social supports for the people in communities, and healthier communities in general. So that's my pitch. And I'm going to now turn it over to Amanda, if she's ready, to talk a little bit about an expungement fair the city of Lansing has been planning. So Amanda, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
All right, sounds good.
I'm going to stop my screen share here.
Yep. And I'm just gonna pull mine up right here. And all right, looks like you guys are seeing this as well, right? All right, great. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how a municipality can get involved in the expungement process. So the city of Lansing, how we kind of came about this was not directly thinking about criminal expungement of prior convictions, but really it started with a discussion from city council and politicians about how do we promote social equity or racial equity in our city. How do we help this? And the initial discussion that came to me is, how do we implement this in marijuana ordinances? Because that was really how the state initially addressed this. Was there are social equity cities and communities, people that were impacted more by marijuana regulation than other communities. And we had thought about implementing that as the city of Lansing. How do we add that back into our existing marijuana ordinance? And I kind of tossed out some ideas of, we could reopen this ordinance and address it as limited to marijuana only, or we could talk about it in a broader sense. And what are other alternatives? And one of the things that we discussed and ultimately decided to do was sponsor an expungement clinic. So from our perspective, and I think John really touched upon this already, but benefits that, not only does it benefit the residents, but it comes back and it pays tenfold back to the community itself. So increased access to housing, obviously that can correlate to less people homeless or less transient society, which has its own distinct problems, particularly when it comes to criminal prosecution. It can increase access to employment, or frankly, better employment. So if you're at a low paying job, you could get that better paying job and move up, which obviously increases your tax base and perhaps, increases their ability to perhaps purchase a home or something like that, as opposed to renting in your community. And also increased access to things like public assistance or, getting financial aid for education, leading to your community being better educated and having more financial and community support. So when the economy does tank, you're hopefully the safety net for your community is better than it could have been had you not participated in an expungement clinic. Obviously, these are lofty goals, but these are the grand thoughts that we kind of had as a city. Now, implementing an expungement clinic has been it's been a process. As I have my son over here. So the first kind of thought that you really need to think about is budgeting for the event. Obviously, you could have a small scale event, or you could have a very large scale event. And you're really going to have to think about, as a community, how are you going to fund and do that? Ours elected to allocate money to the city attorney's office to implement this project. So that is what we are doing. And then you're going to want to think about scale of the event and who is your target audience. And ours, we kind of debated back and forth was, do we want it to benefit only local residents, or do we want it to benefit perhaps people who have been convicted of crimes within our jurisdiction, which is what we opted to do. It's a little bit broader. Or perhaps do you want to make it so broad that anybody who is eligible, could benefit from an expungement clinic? The only qualms that I had about that is using specifically tax dollars you want it to benefit your community and your residents. So if you make it eligible to everyone, there is a little bit of question about, are those tax dollars being really used for your residents if it's benefiting somebody outside of your community? Other things, coordinating obviously with people who are experts like Safe and Just Michigan. They know what they're doing, and obviously they are a good sounding board for how to do this and how to implement it. Also working with your local police, they are crucial in doing things like pulling iChat for the criminal history checks for everybody, and fingerprinting, which is a necessary step along the way as well. And I will say one of the things that has been oddest is actually the next one, courts. So we have 3 district courts within our community, and each of them is participating, which is great, but each has elected to participate in their own unique way. So I guess if you're planning to do this event, just know that there is no uniform way of doing this, I guess, in place at this time. So one court is going to participate in person. Another one is going to participate remotely through encrypted email. And another said that just pull all the records ahead of time and we'll just drop them off ahead of time. So they're each a little unique in their way of handling it. And when it comes to courts, I think probably one of the most important aspects, if you really want to see success in people actually getting through the expungement process and ultimately having a conviction set aside, is seeing if you can coordinate with the courts on getting a specific hearing date in the future. Because you'll have attorneys who want to volunteer their time, but they also don't want some smattering of future hearing dates that could be potentially all across the state. We're kind of in a unique opportunity right now where a lot of court is still remote. And so for that person who happened to get their DWLS while they were up in the UP, we probably can still help that person because the court will probably still be doing remote work for the near future. But that's something to keep in mind, is if you can get a finite date with your existing courts that you work with regularly, I think more attorneys are willing to commit to seeing the case through. So not only doing the application work, but ultimately appearing on behalf of their client in court and presenting the motion to the judge for consideration. Other people that you're really going to want to coordinate with is your county prosecutor's office, as well as your county public defender's office, if you can. And then other things that I found helpful, at least within the Lansing community, are local law schools. So law students, this is a really great opportunity for them to get a little slice of justice. You know, the most telling to me, like, sign of scale here is that I was talking to Cooley Law School, and they said, oh, our Innocence Project does all of these sorts of things, but the Innocence Project is working on a multi-year, you know, goal here to help one person. Participating in this way really can help somebody out in a smaller nutshell. It can be done, say, in 60 to 90 days, and gives the student an opportunity to make appearance in court, which is always fun as a law student too. One thing that I do want to note is that our office determined that us, specifically attorneys, shouldn't be assisting in the review of the applications, and that is just due to the potential conflict of interest. If we were the ones who are responsible for the conviction that's going to be set aside, there's always the possibility that we may in fact actually oppose setting aside a certain conviction. And so it wouldn't be proper for us to be participating in that way. So we took a more hands-off approach, and we're coordinating the event, but we're not actually participating in the actual legal process. Some other things that I just kind of want to note that I've learned as I've gone away through this process: locate your event away from where the police headquarters is. This is just because people may have a hesitancy to participate if they think there's a possibility they're going to get arrested, or somebody they're with might have, you know, a warrant for child custody payment or something along those lines. Also, you're really going to want to have some notary publics on hand to sign any of the paperwork. And lastly, just making it a whole scale event. So not just expungements, but have other things available that the community needs. So In our case, we're going to have utility companies to help out to see if people need to get on payment plans. We have grant money for the city currently to help people who owe money to the Secretary of State or court debts. That is often holding people up from getting their expungements approved by the judge, is because they still in fact owe money, even though legally speaking, it doesn't prevent set aside, but many courts won't do it unless that money is paid. And so if you have a means of setting aside money for that purpose or applying for grant money for that purpose, that will definitely help your chances of helping the greater community.
Let's recap what Amanda was saying there, some of the most important points. One that really stuck out to me is that at the very end of the video, she said that it would be a conflict of interest for city attorneys to participate in the legal process. But if you read what was written in the document that she was presenting in the video, the conflict of interest, if the city attorney was involved in a conviction of someone or an entity, whatever, individual winding up being, if it was a business owner, if it was a private individual, didn't matter. If the city attorney was involved in the prosecution of that individual, from my understanding, there would be a conflict of interest for the city attorney's office to participate in helping. I don't believe that's a blanket effect. In addition, with Amanda O'Boyle leaving the city of Lansing and coming to Coldwater, I believe that it might be equitable for her to be able to be reached out to, and that she can be able to help, or the office that the attorney's office that she was hired through might also be able to help in this process. So to recap with that part, number one. Number two, again, in a small community like Coldwater, we have in Branch County, we have 28, 29 dispensaries. And we've also been noted to have a relatively high per capita ratio of homelessness. Now, I would suggest strongly to you that as a community, we reach out together, maybe during city council meetings, and make this information that we just watched notable, and so that city council themselves can watch it and Amanda can rewatch it, and that the homelessness situation in Coldwater can be helped by such a program as this. Now, even if the law that's intact now that was passed, I believe in 2024 or 2025, even if the law through the state of Michigan has been enacted, it still means that individuals are going to need help trying to get any of these felonies expunged from their record. And again, what Amanda said on recap number 3, that if you owe money and to the state of Michigan, to the Secretary of State's office for fines or anything else in relationship to that conviction, those need to be paid before they will even step in and help you. So, if you are an individual who is aspiring to want to be part of the Coldwater City Council, you want to maybe be the city manager, you would like to be the city mayor, and you have a felony that's on your record, and you wish to have it expunged to help maybe increase your chances of being part of the city council, which according to the website and according to the city council or Coldwater's own website, it doesn't matter if you've got a felony or not. It doesn't list it as a deal breaker. Of course, most employers don't list it as a deal breaker anyway because it's discrimination. But they don't necessarily have to tell you that that's the reason why you're not being considered for a position. So, in a recap, this was just a short video. I'm going to be producing several others and uploading those here. The next one is going to be involved with our housing industry and our housing crisis here in Branch County, and that'll be over here in the next 15 to 20 minutes. I want to make the videos more shorter so you're not having to watch such long videos, and be able to have a little bit better opportunity to pick and choose which videos you'd like to watch and how they inform you. Thanks for tuning in on this particular one. We'll see you back here in our next video.